Jason. It's my job to stump. Hey everybody, it's Carrie Hoffmeister with Carrie on Abundant TV. And I say this every week, but I am super excited for my guest today, who was like my soul sister the first time I met her. Please welcome Natalie Layne. Natalie, thanks so much for chatting with me today.
I'm so excited. This is my first time on Carry On, so it's very exciting. I don't know if our other one aired on here, but this is
It
exciting.
did, but it was kind of
Okay.
a different, yeah, it was a shorter interview. You didn't get the full Carry On experience, so here
Hey,
you go.
and I'm ready. Let's go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Natalie's ready. So, everybody that's watching at home knows that we start off with what I call carry on the truth, because it's just cool to add carry on to everything. So,
Oh, this is good. Yep.
so what it is, it's true or false random statements, and you just
Okay.
have to tell me if it's true or false.
Okay. Great.
Okay? All right. So
hmm
you have a 50-50 shot. We're good. All
Okay.
right. Are you
Okay.
ready?
Yeah. I'm locked in. Let's go.
Okay. Let's go. The world's largest island is Greenland.
Oh, well, is it an island though? You have me questioning everything because is it attached to something up there? Um, I would think the world's largest island would be Australia. So I'm gonna say false.
It's true.
Is it really? It's bigger than Australia? That's crazy.
It's the world's largest island. I know.
That's crazy.
Next one. A group of owls is called a parliament.
Oh, if that's not true, it should be true. I want to say true to that.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yay! Good job. The sun is not a star.
What do you mean the sun is not a star? The sun is a star, for sure.
So are you saying true?
Well, if you say the sun is not a star, then that's false because the sun is a star, right?
Right. Is
Yes.
that your answer? Okay.
False. Yeah. Yeah.
You are right. The sun
Yeah.
is a star.
I took astronomy in high school. I should remember that. Yeah.
Good. Hey, good job. All right, next one. An octopus has one heart.
Okay. This is one of my favorite facts about octopi. They have more than one heart. I don't remember if it's like four or five, but I think they also have multiple brains.
Okay,
So,
I don't know about the brains, but you
what?
are right. They have three hearts.
I just remember it being weird, like, you know, eight tentacles, three hearts, five brains, like something super weird.
Good job. I've asked this before, and they were like, I think an octopus doesn't have any heart. And I'm like, how is it alive?
Right. I
So,
don't
good
understand how
job.
the hearts work together. I would like to understand some more, but I don't get that part.
Well, you got it. So good
Yeah.
job. Dinosaurs are the biggest animals to ever live.
Hmm. See, that's hard because I know the biggest living animal right now is the blue whale, but that's probably bigger than a dinosaur. So I'm going to say false.
You are so smart.
Wow. I have a master's degree. Okay, I did go to
Oh
school.
my goodness. You are spot on. And yes, the answer is the blue whale.
I'm just going, wow. I'm
Yeah.
just, trying to put things together here. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Okay, Natalie. All right. Let's see if you know this one.
Okay.
The process of creating honey involves bees' waste.
Uh, I don't want to know the answer. Is that true?
What's your answer?
I think it's true.
It's false,
Okay, praise the Lord.
but what it involves
Oh.
is bees' vomit.
Oh, perfect. That's
Yeah. Not sure
yeah.
if that's better or not.
I don't think
So,
it's better. No. I don't care. It's delicious and good
it
for
is
us.
delicious. Yeah. So their vomit must be nutritional, so it's
I
okay.
guess somehow. Wow.
Ketchup was once used as a medicine.
Mm, I don't think that'd be very good medicine because it's so acidic. and that would make your tummy really mad. I think false. Was it?
Um, it's true.
Okay.
It was once used to cure sicknesses like diarrhea and indigestion.
I just feel like that would get it out more. You know what I mean? And
Maybe
maybe
that's what
that's
they
the
used it for.
goal. If that's the goal, then I get it.
It
But
might have been. And then they thought, okay, this is not the way we need to do this. So we're
yeah,
gonna,
I think it's a bad idea. There's a reason we stopped doing that. Yeah.
yeah, I'm all for that. Delaware is the smallest US state.
Um, that would make sense. I think, I mean, you don't hear a lot about Delaware, and sometimes I question if it's a real state, you know. I think it is because it's listed there. I think true.
It's false.
Okay.
It's Rhode Island.
Oh, Rhode Island's cool.
But Delaware is known to have the least amount of counties in the whole state. It only has three.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
And I learned that from my last interview that I did.
You
So,
are educating the people,
and
actually. So,
myself.
and yourself and me. I love this.
It's great.
Yeah.
All right. A human brain is the organ with the most fat.
Oh, never thought about that in my life. The organ with the
Yeah.
most fat,
Yep.
probably. Let's say yes. True.
Yeah, it's true. About 60% of the human brain is fat.
And really, why? Is
Uh,
it just to protect things, maybe?
Maybe so.
I don't know. Okay.
I might have more fat than others, but
I
who
was gonna
knows? We'll
say,
see.
I feel like it's a scale. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay, last one. People are born with more bones than they have in adulthood.
Born with more?
So, like infants.
I think
Um,
they're born with less and they develop so like they don't have kneecaps or whatever when they're a baby. So I think people are born with less. So false.
so, this one is actually true. And it
Really?
says babies have 300 bones at birth, but closer to 200 when they become adults. I don't know
Oh.
how. I need to look that up because I'm like,
They
do
probably
they?
grow together.
That's what I was thinking, is they must like connect
Yeah. But
as
that's
they
weird
grow.
because then they form some other ones. I think that's true that babies like don't have like kneecaps and elbow
Yes,
caps.
I've heard that too.
So like
So I don't know.
they form some.
Maybe that's why, because they have like an upper leg bone and maybe a lower leg bone, and then they
Right.
connect together to make the.
Hey, that's good.
It's probably not even close,
That's
but
probably science. Yeah.
it. I was terrible at science, so hopefully no scientists watch this because they
That's
would think that was a
awesome.
ridiculous answer. Okay.
I like that game. That's fun.
Hey, you did really good. You probably
Thanks.
have done the best out of
Wow.
anybody.
I feel good about, just trying to be logical. I don't know.
So if anything, if music doesn't pan out,
Just trivia, maybe.
trivia, yeah,
Yeah.
you'd kill it.
That'd be fun.
Well, Natalie, the last time that we spoke was literally almost 2 years ago at a live music festival in the summertime. It was the first time I had met you, and the last time we spoke.
Yeah.
And I remember our conversation then was
Yeah.
actually a lot about joy.
Yeah.
And so interestingly enough, she has a new album coming out February 21st called All Joy.
Let's go.
So let's kind of backtrack what has happened since the last time we spoke in your
Oh
life.
man. Well, I was a brand new artist when we last talked. Things were just starting up. I had just signed my deal and we were just starting to put out some songs, but at the beginning of that process, I mean, we knew we were writing toward the record eventually. And I felt like the Lord said, Natalie, I just want you to write a bunch of songs about joy. And I love that. I was like, I think we need joy songs. Like, there are so many songs that focus on the negative, and I
Mhm.
think we need upbeat songs. I was picturing people even in those beginning stages, like people listening to it in the car on the way to pick up their kid at preschool or whatever, and like dancing to it in the kitchen and just it being a part of everyday life. I think we need songs to lift our eyes. And so that was a huge part of just this writing process. And the year that we talked in 2023, I was just writing and writing and writing all these songs about joy. I think we wrote like over 100 songs. in
Wow.
pursuit of this record. And it just was so cool. It was such a cool process to like be learning about what joy actually is. Um, and kind of having my whole world wrecked on that, and kind of going from a place where I thought that joy meant putting a smile on your face and,
Mhm.
pretending to be okay and all these things that it is not. And in looking into like what biblical joy actually looks like, joy is a fruit of the spirit. And that really struck me from the beginning, how it's like love, joy, peace, patience. Like joy is right there at the beginning of the list. And so it's joy isn't a fruit of our own striving at all. It's a fruit of the spirit. And so if I want to have
Mhm.
more joy, I have to ask for more of the spirit. And he does that in us and through us. And so just wanted to write about that. A lot of the record has passages of scripture woven into it about joy. The title track is based on that verse that says, "Count it all joy when you face trials," which is such an annoying verse. That's terrible. That's like, that does not compute in my human brain. But once we realize that joy comes from the Spirit of God and He doesn't change, then we can learn that joy can actually be consistent through trials and through good times and through all the different seasons that we experience. And so there are songs on the record about how to have joy when it's easy and how to have joy when it's hard. And I hope that people, wherever they find themselves as they listen, um, that they could relate to something on the record because it kind of talks about joy through all seasons. And so been writing that and last year recording that, and now it's finally coming out, and I'm so excited.
Yeah, I was actually sent the whole album this morning as I was getting ready, and I was like, "Oh, perfect timing. I can
Yeah.
listen to this while I'm getting ready." And when you think of like what a Joy album would sound like, you nailed it because
Thanks.
like the first song, Amen, is awesome. I don't know if it was in the same order that your album is, but the first one that I got was Amen, and
Yeah.
that one was so fun. And then Church Kids, I
Yeah.
literally was dancing around in my
You
bathroom
have
like,
to.
hey, this like makes you feel joy.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's so good. And you're an amazing piano player. Do
Thanks.
you play on all of these tracks?
Yes, I play on every song. Yeah.
How long have you been playing piano?
I started super young. That was the first musical thing I ever did before I was singing or anything. Like, I think I've been playing since I was 3 or 4. Like, my parents put me in a little group piano class, and I just like fell in love with it. And so I feel like I've been playing my whole life, and that's just kind of an extension of me at this point. And so it makes all the sense for me to play on all the songs.
Yeah, so good.
Yeah.
There was like a little snippet in there of you playing like the intro, I think it is to The Long Way.
Yeah.
And there's just people talking in the background. And then in the end, they're like, oh, I just love hearing you play. And I was like, oh, that was so cool. Like that was so good. So you said you wrote like almost maybe over 100 songs for this album. That is crazy.
I
What
know.
what is the process like to narrow it down? Is there a song on this album that you had to like fight for that other people were like, no, I think you should have like what is that like?
Yeah. Well, the whole process is crazy when you're a new artist because a lot of it is just like, your label will schedule different co-writes to see who you work well with. And so a lot of
Okay.
that was me meeting all these songwriters in Nashville and just like seeing who I might want to work with. So that's why we wrote so many songs. It wasn't like the first 50 were bad or anything. It was like, let's see who we like to work with and who kind of catches this vision of what we want to say and the sound we want it to be and all this stuff. And so in that process, we were finding songs along the way that were like, oh, this feels like it kind of goes with the theme of the project. Or this feels like it kind of goes with the sound. You kind of piece it together. And for me, it's cool because I have a team around me that we kind of decide all together. And it's
Hmm.
great to have that like, you know, just second opinion, third opinion to make sure that like this song is making sense to other people and not just me. Like this is gonna hit other people. Um, and so we just have meetings as we went along to kind of decide what songs would go on the record. And there were songs, and this is what's been really interesting about my career specifically is because in 2020 I started posting videos on TikTok and
Hmm.
on Instagram and all this stuff. And I did not want to start doing that, but I knew that like it could probably help my music and maybe it could help somebody along the way. And so I mean, those platforms really gave me a career in the first place. And so even as we were writing this record, I would just post little clips of the songs as we were writing them. Like, what do you guys think? Anything we should change about this? What do you like about it? Does this hit you? And so there were songs along the way that people really related to. And one in particular that was so interesting is called Grateful For.
Hmm.
And it just blew up online. And that was one that we weren't sure about. I like kind of had a feeling about it. Like, I like this song. My team wasn't really sure. And then everybody related to it. And we were like, okay, they want this one. So sometimes it happens like that, which I love that we can get the feedback of people for them to be like, no, this hits me in a really different way. Um, so I love that. And it's why we do this process. I do it because I'm expressing my artistry, I'm connecting to the Lord, all the stuff like that. But a huge part of it is what's actually going to connect and matter to people. And we kind of got that piece of it from being able to share things online and really talk to people about what it has meant to them, which is amazing and such a gift of the time we live in. So all of those things kind of helped us decide. But what we have here, I feel like I love this collection of songs. I love them together because I think they show different sides of the
Hmm.
process of what it looks like to have joy when it's easy and what it looks like to have joy when it's hard. And you kind of have everything from the whole spectrum of that.
Yeah, that's so good. That's so cool. It's so interesting to see sometimes when we write music how it affects other people differently. Even if you're
Yeah,
like, yeah, I don't know if that one's gonna be, and then everybody's like, I love that song,
I
and you're
know.
like,
It's crazy.
oh, okay, like that's so good.
Yeah.
One of the songs that I love on the album, and maybe it just hits me just maybe with the season of life that I'm in right now or what I'm going through, but is Fragile. So
Yeah.
can you tell me a little bit about that song and behind why that one
Yeah.
was written?
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the songs that I was like, man, we have to express when when it's really hard to have joy. And the reality was that I was in a season where I mean, there was a lot of joy. A lot of great things were happening in my life. Like it felt like just something that was easier, in
Hmm.
that time. But some of my co-writers and the people that I was working with were going through some of the hardest times of their lives. So much grief, so much going on. Um, and I just remember them saying as we were writing these songs and Fragile in particular, like they would say, like, I didn't know that it was possible until this season of my life that like such pain and joy could exist at the same time,
Hmm.
or that such grief and gratitude could exist at the same time. And it's a miracle because that's how you know God's in the story. Um, and so we kind of wrote it from that perspective, what happens when we're really fragile. And the picture that I always see with this song is just Jesus on the cross. And started thinking about how that is perceived as such weakness,
Hmm.
like that place that he found himself in was people trying to make him weak. And it's become this place that we draw strength from forever. And so, in the way that we think that weakness is weakness, maybe weakness is actually strength because it's where God shines through. And so, that's what I wanted to kind of capture in the song. And I love how Jesus is an example of that he
Hmm.
went to his weakest place to be used by God. And I think that our weakest places can be used by God. And I just want people to know that when it's hard to believe it in those seasons. We don't naturally go there.
Right.
But I think the example of Jesus is really powerful in that when we feel fragile, his strength actually shines through. And so that's a beautiful part of walking with him.
Yeah, that was so beautifully said. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I think so. My mom, she passed in April, and I feel like I'm actually just now starting to grieve. So it's kind of been this
Yeah.
weird like journey for me. And so that song just really like kind of struck me. So
Yeah.
Thank you for
Yeah.
that. But, and I do
Thanks
feel
for that.
like all the songs on it are for anybody with where they're at in whatever season of life that they're in. So
Yeah.
I've always been a fan of yours, though. I love your little videos that you post.
Oh,
Just
thanks.
even like with your piano, you really do like protrude a lot of joy that comes out of you. So I
Thank you.
think that this is a really good example of you as a person. But what
Mm.
was your favorite memory in making this album? Do you have a favorite memory that sticks out
Ooh,
to you?
no one has asked me that.
Really?
That's crazy. Yeah, that's a great question. Um, oh, I feel like several come to mind. Like I can remember the exact days that we wrote each of the songs. Like they're all kind of seared into my mind, just really special experiences. Like when people think about the songs, like, yes, there was a really deep, meaningful conversation behind each and every one of them. And I think this is my first project where I've co-written every song, which is not always the case. And so just like those conversations with people stick out to me. I remember kind of what they said and what like led to the different songs and what it ended up meaning to them. That is a special moment too. I remember a couple different times where my co-writers would call me and be like, I'm going through such a hard time, and this song that we wrote is helping me through.
Oh,
Like that's so special. I felt like it was cool to see even before they were released how they were impacting people. Um, so it's been sweet all along the way, but I think just the connections with people in making the record is the standout to me.
that's really cool.
Yeah.
Did I read correctly that you helped produce this
Yeah,
as
it's
well?
3 songs on the record. Yeah.
How many?
3, I think. 3.
Okay. And is this your first time kind of dipping into producing or?
No, it's always been something that I've dabbled in. I feel like I got a production program on my computer when I was 10 and started just recording my own demos. So I've
Yeah.
always done that. And then in the room when I'm working with producers, I'm like very involved in all of that. I don't know how other artists do it, but I don't think they're usually as involved as I am just because I'm always hearing things musically and I'm playing the piano and all the keys. And so I'm like, I'm really thinking about the arrangement and musicality and everything. So I kind of co-produce by nature in that, like
Yeah.
I'm always involved in it, but I realized that I really like producing live tracks. And so there's 2 live tracks at the end of this record where we recorded everything on the same day in the studio. I did like the string arrangements and conducted the little orchestra and like was I just love that. I love being in the room with real musicians. And so
Yeah.
that's those are the songs that I produced on the record and that was so fun.
Do you think it's something that you'll do in the future?
Oh yeah. I think it'll
That's
always
awesome.
be a part of me and I think it'll look different. But it because I'm so just like inclined to the musical arrangement of things, like
Yeah.
it just kind of will happen, you know?
I'm sure. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so I asked you your favorite memory, but
Mm.
what was the hardest thing about making this album?
Ooh, that's interesting too. I feel like, I mean, it is hard to choose what songs are going to go on a record for sure. When you have that many,
Hmm.
you just kind of have to sort through them one by one, and then maybe you have a list of 20, and then you just sit with it until, I don't know, it's like there's no right answer sometimes. Like you just kind of know what's supposed to be on the project and you have to trust that. So that's hard sometimes. Um, Yeah, I mean, I just think the overall like long process can be really hard.
Hmm.
We've worked on this record for 2 years and yeah, more than 2 years and wrote all of the songs in 2023. So what can be hard now is like that feels like it feels like me as an artist 2 years ago. Like I'm writing
Hmm.
different things now. So it's
Yeah.
funny because the release schedule is like behind what's actually happening, but people will receive it the same way and then they'll receive the next thing. So it doesn't matter. It's just like kind of funny that it's a long process. And I think people don't know that. People assume that we can just release what we're writing tomorrow. And
Yeah.
it's a much longer process than that. But so that it makes it really special when the thing does come out, because you're like, this took us forever.
Yeah,
And
you're
it's a
ready.
celebration. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That is so true.
Yeah.
So, in the last couple of years of, writing about joy and singing about joy, I think we live in a time that joy is really hard.
Yeah.
And just the things that everybody's going through and the things that we see going on in the world today. What are some ways that you have practiced joy?
I love that. I love that question. I think the number one way that I've learned, and the Lord is still teaching me all the time, is that if I really believe that joy comes from Him and not from me, then how am I going to come back to Him all the time? Like throughout my day, how am I going to believe that the presence of God is with me? Breathe in the presence of God, just like take a minute and be still and know that He's with me. I think that's the biggest thing. Um, is that knowing His presence is with us and then surrendering to that. Um, and knowing that like joy, it kind of looks different ways for different people. I think people assume you have to be like super extrovert to have joy.
Yeah.
And that's just not what real joy is. Like joy can come about in every person because the Spirit of God is available to every person. And so it's really more of a steadfast coming back to the Lord that gives us that. And I believe that joy is for everybody. And so just I'm learning all of that. I'm learning how to come back to Him. And that I think has increased my joy. It's coming back to Him. And it's also choosing, and this is a big one for me lately, choosing what I let my mind dwell on. I think is big. I love that scripture that says, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is noble, think about these things. And to realize that we have a choice what to dwell on. And actually, if we dwell on what's negative forever, like it is going to send us in a negative direction. Like,
Yeah.
but if we're choosing to dwell on what's good, even if it's hard, I mean, I think that the Lord meets us in a lot of painful places, in a lot of grief. He helps us process a lot of things. And then if we can always come back to let's dwell on what's good, then I think that that is kind of a catalyst for joy too. So these are things, these are not like one stop things, like
Right.
it's
Yeah.
over a long time. Um, but those daily choices, even when we mess them up a million times, if we come back to the good path, we will really see a change in our minds, a renewing of our minds that leads us toward joy. And I think it's worth saying too, like I'm thinking about even for you losing your mom, like a lot of that grief, and we see this in scripture that like suffering makes way for great joy. And one of my favorite verses right now, it says, those who sow in tears will reap with joy. And I just love that. Like that's crazy. And it again doesn't feel like it in the moment, but to realize that the economy of God is so different that when these things, these hard things are happening, He really does mean there's joy in the morning. And I believe that in the middle of it and at the end of it for you and for people who are going through those hard things. So daily coming
Yeah.
back to the Lord, man.
Absolutely. I think I remember a little bit of our conversation the last time that I said this too, is something that I'd heard that constantly helps me is that the difference between like happiness and joy is happiness is what you feel in the moment and joy is
Mm,
what you choose to be and to have.
good.
And that is so true. It's what we get from God, but it's also what we choose. And
Mhm.
choosing joy in the hard moments, but also I love what you said about what you choose to let your mind dwell on is
Yeah.
so important. And
Yeah.
that was so good. So thanks for sharing that
Yeah.
too.
Absolutely.
What is your biggest hope for this album?
Mm, I think just in all that, I know it'll hit different people in different places. But just that they would know that joy is for them because Jesus is for them. And that's really the whole thing. My friend says that all the time. She's like, joy is for you because Jesus is for you. And I love that. Like, just really coming back to like, this is possible because He wants this for me. He wants to be with me, and like just the love of the Father in that way, I think is so powerful. And I think that's always the thing that any of us need to remember, need to be reminded by the music we listen to, by whatever's coming into our brain that we are loved by God. And
Hmm.
just I hope and pray that people receive that with this record.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, are you going to be going on tour or anything
Yes,
that people can
you
come see you?
know. Yes, so after the record comes out, I'm going on the road for a couple months with a band called 10th Avenue North,
Awesome.
who I love. I'm repping their merch today. It's great.
Ah, I love it.
Um, yeah. So we'll be out in a bunch of places this spring, and then I'll be at different festivals in the summer. So people can people can come see us a lot of different places.
Awesome. That's so
Yeah.
awesome. Well, Natalie, thank you so much for being on today and chatting with me. And
Yes.
everybody at home, make sure February 21st,
Yes.
where all music is streamed, you go check out All Joy by Natalie Layne. And thank you all so much for watching. And just remember, until next time, to carry on.